In this recording, I will show you how to calculate the price of the bond and yield to maturity using time value of money formulas in Excel. So let's take a couple of examples. The first one is that we are going to calculate the price of the bond. We will do it two ways. One is what if the coupon rate is annual, and the other one is what if the coupon rate is semi-annual. The information provided is the par value is $1,000. Coupon rate is 8%. Yield to maturity, number of years is 10 years. Yield to maturity, which is yield basically means a return, is 6%. We're going to calculate the price, right? So let's look at it. What does it mean? What that means is if I have a bond that will give me 8%, the 8% coupon rate times the par value of 1,000. So annual coupon rate times par value of 8% times 1,000, which is $80 of coupon dollars I will get, which is the PMT. So that means we will get $80 every year for 10 years. And then we will get the $1,000 back, which is our principal. The other piece of information they provided us is the yield to maturity is 6%. What that means is that if the bondholder holds a bond for the whole maturity of 10 years, that the bondholder will get a return of 6%. So now we have to do is to figure out what is the price of the bond that we will have to pay today. Price of the bond we will have to pay today, and that's thus the present value of the future cash flow of $80 PMT for the 10 years, and then a future lump sum of getting $1,000 back. So here I've set it up: par value, coupon rate, years to maturity, yield to maturity, which is the return for annual, and then we're going to do it for semi-annual. Par value is 1,000, coupon rate is 8%, years to maturity is 10 years, and yield to maturity is 6%. Obviously same for here. The only difference is going to be that it's going to be semi-annual bond. So let's do the annual one first. So the annual one first basically is that we will be getting $80 PMT every year. Now how did we come up with the $80? $80 is the coupon rate, which is 8%. You know, I got it over here again, 8%, times the par value, which is 1,000, which comes out to be 80, and that's considered as a PMT in a time value formula. The 1,000 that we will have will be the future value. The return we are getting is 6%. So we're going to go in here where I want to calculate the price. I'm going to go into the formulas, look at the financials, find the present value. When the box opens up, the rate. That rate is the yield to maturity, not the coupon rate. Again, yield to maturity. So that would mean we're going to click that cell. Number of periods is 10 years, so that cell. PMT, again, like I said, we got 80 bucks. So PMT is, how did we calculate it? We calculated by taking the coupon rate, I click that, times, by adding an asterisk, times the par value. Okay, and then the future value is going to be the money we are going to get, a principal back $1,000 in the future, which is 1,000. Okay, so if I do that and I click OK, I will get the price of the bond. So the price of the bond today for this stream of cash flow, $80 once a year, and get the principal back at the return of 6%, is $1,147.20. Now, if it is a semi-annual bond, what that means is that we will get half as much PMT, but twice a year. So we still get 80 bucks, but we'll get 40 and 40. So what that means is that because it's semi-annual, we'll get 80 divided by 240, but we are going to get it twice a year. So that would mean we will get it for 20 times, or 20 periods. So that would be 10 times 2 is 20. So the end becomes 20. So again, the coupon dollars, or the PMT, is calculated by coupon rate times the par value. And here, because it is semi-annual, we divide it by 2, we get $40. Yield to maturity 6%. And the maturity end is going to be 10.2%. And the price is going to, we're going to calculate it now. Because it is semi-annual, we will also have to adjust for yield to maturity. which means that we have to divide that by 2, and we can do that when we do the Excel calculation. So here we go. We're going to go here, and we're going to go to the financial. We're going to go again, find the present value. Okay. And the yield to maturity, this time we are going to, because it is semi-annual, take the yield to maturity, and we're going to slash, which is divided by 2. Number of periods is going to be years to maturity times 2. PMT is going to be, again, 8%, which is the coupon rate, times the par value, but then we're going to divide it by 2. I'm sorry. Let me just redo it. I forgot to put in the future value. So I'm going to clear the content, and we'll start again very quickly. And I'm going to go to the present value again, and rate again, yield to maturity, but it's going to be divided by 2 because it is semi-annual. Number of periods is twice as many, so will be years to maturity times 2, so that would be 20. PMT is going to be, again, same thing, like we did before for the annual, coupon rate times par, but this time we will divide it by 2, because it is we're going to get it half as much twice a year. And the future value, I'm sorry, I forgot the formula is not right here, so would be there's no equal to sign, should be par value times coupon rate divided by 2. That will give us 40, and the future value is going to be the 1,000. We'll get it back, and if I OK, then that's the price. So the price is slightly different because it is, we're getting paid annually versus semi-annually, so that's how you do it. Now, what if we wanted to calculate the yield to maturity? Remember here, the 5 parameters that are in the bond calculation is the par value, the coupon rate, years to maturity, yield to maturity, and price. If we were given the price and everything else, then we can figure out yield to maturity. So in theory, we can figure out any one of these. If we got 4 out of 5, we can figure this thing out. So let's look at doing yield to maturity, right? So here we have a bond value of 1,000, coupon rate is 8%, years to maturity is 10, and price of the bond we are given is $850. We'll do it twice, once for annual, once for semi-annual. So here, logic basically is the same thing. We got $80 we are getting $1,000 back. The price of the bond, PV, they have given us is $850. PMT we calculate, just like we did before. We're going to calculate yield to maturity, and it's going to be 10. So here I'm going to go in and go to the financials, and we're going to go to yield to maturity. So we go all the way down till we find yield to maturity. I'm sorry, we're going to find rate. We're going to calculate the rate, and which is going to calculate the yield to maturity. The number of periods is going to be 10. PMT is going to be, again, coupon rate times 10. And again, we are not going to divide it by 2 because this one is the first one is the annual. Present value, this is super important. Because we are buying the bond, which means we will be spending the money, we're giving the money out. So the present value, which is the price of the bond they've given us, is the present value. It has to be negative. So we're going to do a minus sign, 850, and then we're going to do is to say OK. So the rate here is going to be financial. Let me just put it here. Somehow I forgot to click on the future value, so I'm just going to quickly do it again, and maybe you'll see it as a practice. So I'm looking, we're going to calculate the rate, which is yield to maturity. We're going to go to financials. We're going to find rate, R-A-T-E. Box opens up. Number of periods is 10 with this cell. PMT is going to be coupon rate, which is this, multiplied by asterisk, par value, which is that. Present value, super important. Repeat, super important. It has to be a negative number. So you're going to put a minus sign, and the present value is the price of the bond, which is here. Future value is going to be, will stay positive because that's the money we'll get back. So the par value will go over here. And when I click it, we'll get the answer. So it's 10.493% is the yield to maturity. And let me just fix the little typo up here while I'm thinking about it. Yield to maturity, right? Now, what if it is semi-annual? With semi-annual, again, just like we did with the price of the bond, the payment is going to be half as much but twice a year. So 80 will become divided by 2, and number of periods will be obviously double. And when we calculate the yield to maturity, it will be for 6 months. So we'll have to multiply that by 2. So let's look at it, how we're going to do it, right? So if I click here, I'm going to go into financials. We're going to go look for the rate. Okay. Number of periods this time around is going to be twice as many. So we're going to take number of years, and because we're getting twice, times 2, because we're going to get twice as many payments, 2 times every year for 10 years, so it will be 20. PMT will be, again, the coupon rate times the par value, but this time, because it's semi-annual, we'll divide it by 2. Okay. Present value will be, again, should be a negative, minus sign this cell over here. Future value will stay positive, this cell over here. And now we basically we get a calculation, we will get 5%. Now remember the 5%, let me just put little decimals in there. Remember the 5% is for 6 months. So what we have to do is we got to take this number. Up here I can see it, and then I'm going to do is to asterisk twice, 2 multiplied by 2, and hence you will get something that's comparable to what it should be. So you can see over here, that's how you would calculate the yield to maturity for 6 months. The only difference between annual and semi-annual is that we are adjusting the number of periods, to twice as many. When we calculate the PMT, we divide it by half. Once we calculate the yield to maturity, we multiply that by 2, because we are calculating a 6 month, but we have to report annually, so we multiply that by 2.